All right, good day, guys. As promised, I wanted to make a little video for you guys on understanding time frames on your chart. Now, one of the main things you need to put in mind when thinking about chart time frames is first and foremost understanding that the higher the time frame, the more precedence it takes over the lower time frames. In other words, you hear something like this: HTF is greater than, or this greater than here means it takes precedence. Let me write in my non-doctor writing precedence, which means that whatever you see on your eye time frame has a higher chance of happening over what you see here. So for example, if you look at your chart and on the higher time frame it looks like a bullish structure playing out, then there's a high chance that on the longer run will be much more accurate than whatever you see on the low time frames. However, there are different times when you switch between the low time frame. Like for example, after you've seen your context, remember I said that your chart is first and foremost a map, and what you put into the map most of the time determines where it takes you to, right? And this means that when you're going to your chart, you need to understand the basic tenets around a chart before you begin to formulate whatever ideas that you have, right? The less noise you have in your assumptions, the higher the chances that your ideas will be easy to execute. Because if you make too many assumptions, too many wrong assumptions, there's a high chance that you can get stuck or you can get in trouble with, looking at what you see. Now, generally, when you start or when you want to start making any analysis, it's always very advisable to start from the higher time frames so that you have an idea of the context before you then begin to drill down to the smaller time frames. This is very important, right? Don't mind, I'm trying not to show my face so I don't distract you. The board is what is most important in this video, so please pay attention to that. So as you go along with me, I will show you how to start looking at the chart from the higher time frames and drilling it down till you get to your current desired time frame for making decisions, right? But the whole concept, the whole idea behind this video is to help you understand how time frames work and how they can help you mark out very important levels that could be useful in your analysis. Okay, so keep that in mind as we go to the charts. This video is best seen on the charts than plenty stories, so I'll save you all the stories and go straight to a live chart. Good, fantastic. So we'll be using BTC USDT as is usually my custom, because I believe most of what is happening in the crypto market is, centered around what's happening with BTC. If BTC is doing well, everything else is likely to do well as well, and vice versa. So now this chart you see here is, don't worry, I'm going to remove anything that can confuse you. So this is so this is a clean chart of BTC USDT, right? So of course you have your RSI, stock RSI down here. You have your volume bar. You have, of course, the prices on the left. So what we want to do is to understand how does this come into play in when we are analyzing our charts. So I said you start from higher time frame. Now, the more information you have on your chart, the more accurate you can. I don't want to use the word predict, because the chart doesn't predict anything. It only gives you an idea of what is possible. So let me not use the word predict, because predict is a misnomer. It can get very confusing if you think that you're trying to predict the chart. There's nothing like predicting the chart in this case. All right, so when you have it in any time frame, each candle represents the size of the time frame you're looking at. So for example, this one is a 1 hour time frame, which means every candle you see here carries information for 1 hour. But we're going to go to higher time frame. Let me say, let's start with 1 year, for example. Now you see that when you change the time frame, the structure, what you see will be different, right? This is a 1 day chart, sorry. Where's, let's say 1 year. 65 what? Oh, not minutes now. Good. So this is a 1 year chart. Just look at. So of course, Bitcoin has been in existence for how many years? From here you can tell. So you have from when it started trading. You can, okay, this chart here is Binance Theta chart, which means, Theta did not become a thing until around 2017, 2018, thereabouts. So that's why you see that the chart starts around 2017. This is understandable. If it's a USD chart, then you likely will see more candles. But what you notice here is that Bitcoin has been, at least in this time frame, Bitcoin has been in what looks like an uptrend, right? Is that not so? Sorry, I want to change the color of my pen so that I don't confuse you. Sorry. I want to write on the chart in white. Not Samsung, please. Alright, sorry for that little break in transmission. Okay, so 1 year. So once you tap that, you should get the different time frames. So we'll start with 12 months, which will give us, yes, just a few candles. Well, fewer than the usual number of candles, but you get the idea. So this is a Theta chart because Theta did not become a thing until around 2017. So that's why you have this. If it's a USD chart, there's a high chance that you have more information. Let me see if I can pull up a BTC USD chart. BTC USD. BTC USD. So let me use Bitfinex. Yeah, one of the oldest exchanges. So you see that here the chart started in 2013. You can see that. But more importantly, look at how this looks. It looks like Bitcoin has just been going up. Yes? Is that also? So this is the highest time frame possible. That's why you see a lot of people are saying, oh, Bitcoin could still go higher. Some are saying, oh, maybe it might come to 500K. Some are even predicting millions. Well, that is not my business for now. What's important is what is happening now and how can I benefit from it, right? That's what is important to all of us. So looking at this 12-month chart, that is, each candle represents a whole year's information, which means that if we think about it from that angle, it means that all the last 1 year has been within this candle. Yes? If I take this one, for example, this means that Bitcoin has been between here and here, between here and here for 2 years now. Yes? And in the last 1 year, it's been a smaller range compared to, so you get the idea of what I'm saying. But we'll understand this by the time I begin to drill down a little bit. So now this is what our yearly chart looks like. Yes, looks bullish, right? When you look at the fact that it's been in an uptrend, consistent uptrend. Let's begin to drill down to see what is important. Now I will take a 3 months, which is like a quarterly chart. This will give you more information. Now, did you see that when we change the time frame, we now have more information on the chart, which means there's more information to look at and make sense of in that context. Now look at this. You will see that we are still looking like, in an upward trajectory, looking at what we have here. Is that not so? But now, if you take the last 2 months, for example, it looks like we're beginning to pull down, right? Something similar to what happened here, you see? Which means, we could be, correcting for another leg up, right? Who knows? We don't know yet. But what we want to see is that we're seeing that as the time frame goes from the higher level to a smaller level, you begin to get more information to work with, which means the chart begins to change in form to give you an idea of what could be going on, right? Now, in the higher time frames, everything still looks like we're okay, like we're still in a, upward trajectory of some sort, yes? And what we are seeing now may just be a correction for another leg up, like you have seen here. This, like that. You see that? You see this, and then again, we came down, and then that, and then that. Yeah, so we're seeing that going on. Now, let's go to a 1 month chart, for example, and see what we'll find. Now, notice that as I'm changing the chart, I'm seeing more information come on my. I'm seeing more information come on my chart. Yes. So notice that now before what we were seeing is just price going up, kind of. But now, if you look at it in the 1 month chart, it's looking like we're pulling down, right? If you look, something similar happened here, but it wasn't as strong. This is like the first time in a while that we're having consecutive monthly red candles, which is unusual. This is the last time we had that, which is sometime in 2023. So you see, something like this also happened sometime in 2020. I think this is leading up to the March COVID drop. I think this is the COVID drop, if I'm not mistaken. That should be there. Now, but look at what's happening here. We're only seeing this type of price movement for the first time in a while. So, does this mean that Bitcoin is tired of going up and wants to rest a little bit before going higher? Maybe, right? And for those who were in one of the sessions I took some time ago, when we looked at what was going on with Bitcoin, we saw that there was a chance that Bitcoin comes to the mid 60s, maybe even lower, who knows, and then form a base there before going higher, right? Now, this is still all speculation, yes, but you can definitely see something going on here, like a sort of downtrend in the last 3 months, yes? Now, we cannot, of course, conclude based on that, because yes, we have something similar going on here, and then price stop after that, something similar here, and then that, something similar here, and then this huge move, right? So, but each time you are bringing down the time frame, you are seeing more information that you can use to determine what your next move will be. Now, just judging by what I'm seeing here, I will not be afraid to be buying Bitcoin, somewhere around here that looks like there's some sort of support there going on. That's between 50 and 70k or thereabouts, I think, yeah, 75k, this range. I won't be afraid to buy some here, right? Because if this is just a correction like this before heading up, then I think this is the juicy part for anybody who is buying long term, if you ask me. But well, my job is not to give you signal. My job is to help you understand how this all works. So if we take this down a notch and go to a weekly chart, for example, now you see more information showing up and some form of, what will I call it now? Some form of structures going on. Now, typically, as you go, let's go back to the 1 year chart and make some markings so that we can use that to judge some things. So I pointed out in the earlier point when we looked at this that in the last 2 years we've been within this range. Let me mark the range so that you see what I'm saying. So we've been between this range here. Yes, so that's like between 110 and 40k within the last 2 years. Yes. Now this is very important to note because as we drill down, you'll begin to see how this all comes together and why some people will tell you this is happening or that is happening. So let me put another line here. Let me put another line there to mark this 1 year range. Let me change the color of this one so that we'll get some meaningful difference there. All right, so let me put a text there. Okay, so here, this top here at 110 has been like the ultimate top for now, yes? And then here is the bottom in the last 1 year. In the last 1 year, that's between January and now, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, so in the last 1 year, this is where we have been. So this is where the market has been capped in the last 4 months or thereabout, yes? But in the last 2 years, we've been between this range, which means when people are telling you, when people start telling you, oh, we are going to 10k, we are going to 5k, we are going to 20k, they're just being delusional because, for example, the market has not broken down this level yet. We're still holding above 75k. So where do you want to see 10k? How do you want to see all these levels? Until we start breaking down this level, there's no business with all of this. Do you see that? So that's why when you're going through your levels, you use this to have an idea of where market is currently capped or currently focused, and then you put your energy there. Because if you're bothering about 20k or 30k, they're not even on the chart yet in terms of what's going on in the current context. So this is a 12-month chart. Let's take it down a notch to 3 months, like I mentioned before. This will help you better understand how all of this starts making sense after a while. So look at 3 months. In the 3 months that we are looking at here, you can notice something. First, you will notice that we ranged between here for months. Each candle here is 3 months. So I can surmise that all of this is about 3 years or thereabout. Yes, so this is 2021. So like 3-4 years, we were in this range. Even though at some point we dropped, this should be the FTX event that FTX we had in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, yes, ending 2022, which marked the bottom of the market at the time, by the way. And then you see we have this going on here. Now, looking at this structure, you can tell that for now, we have no business down here and down here. We are still stuck in here for the main part. So in the last 12 months, we've been within this, is it 12? No, 3 times. Now, in the last 9 months, we've been between this range, which is 74 to 110. Are we going to break down this? Until we break down this, we cannot be talking about coming here or here. Do you see the point? So for now, this is where we are interested in this top and this bottom. Yes? So keep an eye on this purple line and this other line as we go down this thing. But from what you're looking at here, you can see that there's obviously some form of support here and obviously some form of resistance here based on how price has behaved around those levels. Yes? So we'll continue to break down this chart to give you more understanding of what is going on. Okay, so let's do 1 month. Now on the 1 month chart, look at what we have. It's looking cleaner now, right? It's looking cleaner, yes? Because when we had this breakdown in 2022, price, started rallying, reclaimed this level because we were stuck here for several months, reclaimed this level and then started pushing up until it reached this resistance. This was where we struggled for several months before we broke up into another range. Now, if you pay attention here, you will notice that price usually after reclaiming a level will typically drive up. Sometimes it will come back for a retest before it breaks higher. Sometimes, not all the time, but a lot of times, yes. If you look at this was a breakout, came back to retest, then drove higher. So that's when you talk about a reclaim, retest, and take off or break down. Something similar happened here. Price broke down, it came back, tried to reclaim but failed, attempted again, failed, and then finally broke down. So you see that happens literally almost all the time. What you see here looks similar to what is happening here, right? Only that there are more red here than green, which means there's more bullish behavior of price around here than here. Yet, and this led to a breakdown, obviously, you know why. This, therefore, starts pointing to something, right? For now, price is trying to push down. This week tells you that some people are buying around this level and defending that level more or less, right? And we see that this level has been holding for several months as support in this case. Before it acted as resistance, look at all of this place, it was resisting price from going higher. But after it broke out, so now, remember earlier I said that I'll be comfortable buying within this range if at all price breaks down this level. This place would be a good place to buy. Why? Think about it this way. When price breaks down a level, it tries to find support and starts pushing back up, right? Now, think about it. The last time we were here, we consolidated around here for quite a while before we broke out of that level. Yes. Now this is looking like a retest of that level after it broke out. Because look, since we broke out, we've not retested this level. This is the first set of tests of that level, which tells me that if this level continues to hold, then there's a high chance that we're going to push higher. Yes. So just pay attention here. Now this is a 1 month chart, which means that even in the last couple of months, we have how many months here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In the last 6 months, price has not fallen below this point. Can it fall below that point? Yes, obviously. If it falls, where will it try to find support? I think it will try to find support around this range, which is what I pointed earlier on the 1 year chart. So you see that everything carries on, right? And this is how you locate your strong levels to make your interest in. So for example, this range is still here too. Price has consolidated here before it consolidated and broke down, but now consolidated and broke up, in price. Now what is going to happen? Let's go to a 1 week chart and see what we're going to see. Now each time we go down in number, you see that not only do we have more information, but it also helps us to see more clearly what we are trying to identify, right? So look at this on the 1 week chart. Now, of course, this just looks like typical range play. Goes to, this looks like typical range play. Goes to resistance, comes back to support. Maybe it's going back there, who knows? Maybe it's just ranging before a breakout or a breakdown, if at all. Yes. So for now, we have no business worrying about this place or this place. For now, we are only interested in here, which is why I said it's not so important whether price is bullish or bearish. What you just want to see is what are the signs that if I take a trade around here, I'm going to make money. Because what's important is money, is making money, right? But if you look at it now, you see that we now have more information that is showing us certain levels. For example, here is showing as good support, right? Here too is acting as good support after the breakout, which is looking like a breakout and a retest of some sort. It's still, of course, range bound, as you can see. Yes, and that means that whatever trade you're trying to take within this range, your target should not be up here. You have no business there yet. Of course, they will tell you, oh, it's going to 200K. We don't know that yet until we are conquering this level. And we are still struggling to even cross this point for some time now. Yes, but of course, after some weeks of downtrend, we look to be recovering after testing support here, which means there's a high chance that we could reach here, here, and here eventually, right? And these are the things you should be thinking about, which means that if I'm taking a trade here or here, I don't want price to be coming back to revisit there, right? Which means I'm going to be protecting my downside by making sure that I don't wait for price to break down here before I act. If I'm taking any trade in this range, I don't want price to be breaking down this level before I do something. It's going to hurt badly. Because if you wait till here, that's a huge drawdown. Remember our risk management video. So you can go and watch that video again just for you to understand what I'm talking about. But you see that each time we change the time frame, we get more information to work with. The whole thing begins to look more meaningful or more reasonable. In other words, you begin to see where you can have interest. So for example, I told you from the 1 year chart that I'll be interested in buying within this range if it gives. Which means that if the market doesn't give, then this is my possible entry, and of course, if I want to take that, this will also be where I will be first targeting if I enter here. If I don't, however, I can wait for price to conquer this level and then enter and ride it towards here and here. Do you get? So, but you see, as we go down the levels, you will see how it now becomes easier to pick an entry. So let's go to a 1 day chart and see what we are seeing. Now, in the 1 day chart, notice something. It's cleaner showing you that we are still in that same range. You see that? We're still in this same range. Nothing has changed, right? And that means that if we're going to have a breakdown of this range, this is our first place of interest, right? This range here, this is where we're first interested in before we start thinking of this lower range. Yes, but look at it now that we're in the 1 day chart. You can see that price has come here and it looks to be getting protected, which means this is a very good support here, right? And what do you do as a trader? You buy support, is that not so? Yes, if I bought here, for example, I would put my stop loss around here because I don't want to see price coming here at all in the first place. But let's say I have not bought and I'm thinking, where should I buy? Of course, the first thing I want to see is, will price break above here? Right? Because this has looked like a resistance in the last couple of days, in the last, couple of months. So will price break above here? That's what I want to see. If price begins to break above here, of course, then that's my trade. I can enter here and make sure that my stop should be maybe somewhere around here or here to make sure that I'm protecting my downside. And once price begins to push higher, I move my stops into break even or maybe even some profit just in case price decides to turn back. Maybe someday Trump's head is scratching him and he decides to come and act another movie. But look at what is happening. As we are going down the time frames, the structure starts making more sense. It starts looking more reasonable or more easier to mark our areas of major interest, right? So for example, now I am saying that as long as price continues to hold above here, this is my first interest, whether price will break above there. If price comes and fails to break and starts coming back down here, of course, I'll be looking to buy down there. If it goes lower, of course, my interest will be somewhere in this range. If it goes lower, of course, I'll be looking to see if it will hold there. But in the current dynamics, I'm more interested in this range because this is where price has stayed in the last couple of weeks, right? So this is where I'm interested. Anything outside there is none of my business for now. Of course, I want to plan, which is I don't want to be in a position when price is coming here because this is where I want to buy. Do you understand? So anything that makes me still hold my position all the way down here, where will I see money to buy there? You see why you need to know where price is likely to get to and then become a problem for you. If price is coming here, of course, I want to get out of the market and wait to see if it holds. If it holds, I will get back in and ride it high. If it fails to hold, of course, I'll be interested somewhere around here. Okay? But that's just to show you that price has remained within this container. Now, if you look at it, we marked these three lines several in the last 2 years. So the last 2 years, this is all we're concerned about. All those calls that tell you, oh, it's going to 20K, it's going to, all those things there's no need for you to waste your energy on that. It's noise. You don't need to bother about that. Okay? So focus. So let's go down to 4 hours, which is typically where I like to determine if I want to make an entry. So look at this beauty, right? Now, from here, you can notice something. We are still within this range that we marked several months ago. Nothing has changed. Do you see that? Now we have more information to work with. First thing to notice, price came here twice and held it, which looks to me like there's some strong support here. Yes? Is that not so? There's some support there. Of course, if this fails, there's another support around here, right? Looks like. But we're not concerned about that yet. This is where we're interested in. Now, look at something here. Price has tried to break above here, still not yet able to do so. Which means that the moment we start breaking above here, then you can be a little bit more bullish. But of course, the ultimate point of extreme bullishness is when we start breaking above here, because there you will notice that price broke down from here, came back, retested, and then went lower, right? So this is where we want to be reclaiming for us to be very bullish that it is going above 100K again. If that doesn't happen, then maybe we'll just continue to range until we break down the level, and then of course the other range we marked will now become useful in this case. Yes. So for now, we are only interested in these two boundaries. Okay. So you look at this now, you ask yourself, how can I take a trade here? If this is support, then where does it make sense to take a trade? Do you understand? One of the things you want to do first is to mark the middle of this range. Easy to do. Just do the top there. Take the top and add it to the bottom and divide by 2. That will give you the middle point there. Let me do that for you so that you can see what I'm talking about. So we have 110,042 plus 74856 divided by 2. We have 92 something, which is somewhere around which is somewhere around here. 92.4 should be around here. Oops, no, did I touch that twice? No, should be around here. Okay, let me adjust that a bit. 92,449. Okay, so which means that if this is our range, look at this. If this is our range, right, which means this is our range high, this is our range low, and this is our midpoint. Yes? Now, for example, in the last couple of days, judging by from here to here, since early March or thereabout, the market has been within this range, which means we are ranging within this range. Yes? Is that not so? Correct? Now, after identifying this, we can see that from this point of view, we are just returning from a visit to the support, which very highly looks like we'll visit here and then maybe here ultimately, right? Which is why, like I explained earlier, you want to see price breaking out of these resistances little by little. But then we are not yet interested in the whole range. So we are now capped within this range middle and range low. Let me use this. Don't mind my doctor's writing. All right. So which means that this is where we're interested in. Price has visited support. There's high chances coming to visit resistance here. But it's still, of course, quite a large range, if you ask me. As a day trader, of course, you can't be trying to trade this range. You're going to lose money because this is not a range that is wide enough to trade on a daily basis. As you can see, this is multiple days in represented here. So what do you want to do? You want to break this down to a smaller range, which means, for example, we have identified this is high of the range, this is middle of the range, which means these two lines are a new range as well, right? What's the middle of these two range? If you would look at your calculator to see what is going on there. So we have this, so which will be around somewhere around here, 83.6. Sorry, let me add that to our chart quickly so that we can see 83.6. Ooh, that's large. I think I will adjust that a bit. 83.6. 83.6 what? 652. So here now you will notice something. We have broken down this into ranges. Now, of course, just looking at this, you can see that price is going into some resistance here in the middle of the range. And in the last couple of sessions, that level has held as resistance. So already here, you are seeing that this is a sell zone, not a buy zone. When does it become a buy zone? When it starts breaking above this level. The moment it starts breaking above here and reclaiming, then you want to see, of course, multiple other confluences, which we'll see in other videos. But here we are trying to break down the chart from the high time frame to the low time frame to help us see where we can begin to trade. So for example, in the last couple of weeks, we have been stuck down here, right? So it means that we are not interested in anything happening above here until we are out of this range. This is the range that you're interested in. But until the price breaks into this range, you have no business there. You are only interested here. So which means if you bought 74, 75, 76 even, you would be thinking to sell here. Some will say, oh, but my target is 95. Oh, my target is 100K. Well, as the market is now, you can determine that the market doesn't have the momentum to push aggressively to your target, which means you need to secure profits as you see it. And then, of course, as the market conditions get better, you then begin to have, because most of the time we tend to hold trades too long because we are not aware of what is going on. For example, anybody who bought around here should be selling around here already, not waiting for something magical to happen. Because first of all, the momentum of the recovery is slowing out. I would say maybe because we're entering the weekend, but of course you have to take profit first, take the one that you have been offered first, right? What does that also mean for somebody who is trying to buy? You cannot be interested in buying at resistance. You have to wait for market to resolve either way. If the market decides to break out of here, then you have a trade there that you can take towards here and here, right? And if the market begins to go back down here, you wait if it's something you want to buy, right? This level is a good buy, of course, and it proves to be support until it stops being so, which means you stick to the plan until, of course, it doesn't mean that you just buy blindly. You also want to check other factors to confirm your bias or confirm your idea, okay? Here, what we're interested in is we want a break above this level to be confident that price wants to go higher. Anything other than that, you're just buying into trouble. Do you see that? If we reduce this time frame a little bit more, you will see why this is. So we change it to a 1 hour time frame. Just looking at the 1 hour time frame, you can see what I just explained about this being some kind of resistance. In the last couple of sessions, you can see price has been hovering here. This guy is holding price down most of the time. Last time he broke out, he went here and then, still struggled to break above that mid-range of the upper part of the range. Now, remember we said in one of our previous videos that the market will range most of the time and trend some of the time. Now, what this means is, what is a trend? Like, look at this break from down here, up here. Yes, that's an impulsive move. It's a quick price up, right? And then this is currently a pullback. But if this is to be a trend, you want to see more follow through of that kind of move, which means pulls back, cools down a little, then goes push higher with the same energy. If that is not happening, then you begin to see maybe, the bulls are getting tired and the bears want to come back to play, right? But if you're range playing, if you're playing just the range, because if you're trying to trend in a range, you're going to get in trouble. If you're trying to range in a trend, you're going to get in trouble. Right now, we are still range bound as far as what is going on the chart is. This is a clear resistance that has been respected so far, just as this support has been respected, right? Which means if you are not in a position, this is not where you should be trying to buy. This is where you should be trying to sell. And if you are waiting to enter, you're not going to die if you wait for a breakout here or a revisit of somewhere around here or here. Do you understand? So all the whole idea of your chart and your time frame is to help you identify areas where price has not only been visiting but also been respecting. For example, price has been respecting here. Here too, look at that. Price has been respecting here as some kind of resistance. This is what you want to see, because this will then help you mark out these levels as areas of interest, because here now becomes an area of interest. This is some resistance here. If price is breaking above, breaks into this range and breaks out, then you begin to think, oh, maybe it wants to come here, right? Maybe it wants to come here. But until it does that, you have no business worrying about those two levels. Those are not your targets. You see the point now? So you want to always focus on, especially if you're a day trader, unless if you're a positional trader or you're a swing trader, then of course you can talk about, taking positions for the long term. Like for example, as a swing trader, if you entered here, you can hold your bags, till here or here. And you can, now that you're in profit, you can put your stop loss somewhere around there, which means if price begins to break back down, you can, reclaim your money and wait to enter again, as the case may be. Do you understand? Now, this is the whole idea. As much as possible, this is just a simple breakdown to help you understand what is going on so that you can know how to relate with the chart. Like I said, the chart is just a map. It's not a prediction tool. Let's do a 5 minutes. For those who are scalping, this is This is their favorite time frame. If you look at it, on all the time frames we have seen, we are still seeing the same thing. We are still seeing the same thing. Resistance, resistance, nothing else. So if you are in this place, you're a seller at least till there's a decisive break above here. Do you understand? So no matter the time frame you look, the idea here is to see on each time frame a consistency to your idea, right? So for example, I said that this place has been respected as resistance, and then we started breaking it down to see how come, why is it a resistance? Because if we did not have this line, you would have only been thinking this and these are the only resistances. But when we marked out the middle of the range, we saw that the middle of the range of this range is what has been holding price down, right? And until we are breaking out of that mid-range, we have no business thinking about here. Do you understand? Now, this is my attempt at making it simple for you to understand time frames. There's still a lot more complex things to add, but we'll add it gradually so that you can understand. But the whole idea of this video is to help you understand, first and foremost, the whole idea of what a time frame is. A time frame on your chart helps you to see different type of information based on what is going on. When we looked at the 1 year and 3 months chart, we looked like we were in an uptrend, right? But when we started breaking it down to lower time frame, we started seeing some form of pullback or downtrend that contradicted what we saw on the higher time frame. But like I said, the higher time frame always supersedes, which means that on the long run, Bitcoin seems to want higher prices on the long run. Now that long run, if you're a day trader, it no concern you, because that long run can be 2 years, it can be 3 years. They can squeeze your ass and empty your account before then. You understand? So the whole idea here is to help you understand that each time frame has information that you can use to see what is going on and then plan accordingly. Personally, looking at where at resistance here, I would exercise caution, which means I would most likely be a seller here and hoping for a decisive move. This is weekend, so I don't expect anything spectacular to happen yet, because weekend, low volume, not much is happening. Do you understand? But if you have questions, put them in the comment section. Any question, I'll try and explain it, maybe in a new video or in the comment section. Ask as many questions as you can, share your own ideas if you will. But at the end of the day, we are all trying to learn together, right? This is one of many videos that I will try to make to help you better understand how to approach the market and how to understand what the market is up to, right? In a session I was taking last week, we marked on the chart just shortly before Ethereum dumped to 1.3. We were at 1.7 or 1.8 at that time, and I said, based on what is looking like here, we may go down to 1.3, and then 2 days after we were at 1.3 something. Very scary, but the chart will always show you some of these things if you are paying attention. Most of the time, why you don't see is because you want to impose your idea on the chart, and that doesn't work. It always ends badly. Don't be that person, okay? So like, share, subscribe, ask as many questions as you can, and I'll be here to take you forward. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.